When the words coming out of your mouth are true and you believe what you're saying, that's authenticity. Hey, welcome to my show. I am so excited to have you with me today. Listen, if you are tuning in from YouTube, can I just take 1 second and have you admire this amazing studio that we put so much work into? I wanted it to look good. Y'all, this is like my dream studio right here. If you're listening to the show, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes, I would encourage you to either head over to YouTube to check out the show. You can watch it in video in full format and see the new studio. And I want to shout out the designer of this. I literally sent her a Pinterest board and she made it come to life. Like the vision came to life and it looks even better than I ever imagined that it would. So I'm super stoked because the studio is a representation of me, how I feel about myself inside. I've got the Queen's Corner. If you ever want a tour, I'll give you one. Just follow me on Instagram at Nineveh Madsen. So let's dive right into today's episode and today's topic. And it is this. Without a roadmap, you are on the road to nowhere in life and business. That's a bold statement, but I know it to be true. Everything that I talk about in this show is going to be applicable to your life as a high performer, high achiever, type A personality, whatever it is that you want to label yourself, a hustler, the go-getter. You're the type of person who wants to achieve, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with achievement. The world will try to tell you that there is something crazy about you, but I'll tell you what's crazy. Mediocrity, staying average. That's the definition to me of insanity. All right? You're normal. If you're an achiever, you want to achieve and you want more out of life, you're normal. That's called being human. If you're listening, you're either an executive inside a company or a business owner. If you want to become an executive inside an organization, or you're learning leadership, or you're working your way up to becoming an entrepreneur like I had, by the way, then this show is for you. I invite you to listen. And I don't want you to dismiss the show if you're not an entrepreneur, because the same principles apply if you're someone who just wants to ascend in life, who wants more, who wants to progress, okay? And same thing for employees. You know, maybe you're not an executive yet. Maybe you're not in leadership yet. Yet being the key word. But the things that I talk about, if you adopt these principles, you will ascend so much faster than anyone else in the marketplace that is not consuming this type of content. I worked in corporate America for 25 years. A lot of you that have been listening for a while know my background. Some of you, if this is your first time joining, thank you. So I'm just going to quickly run through. You know, I was an esthetician and makeup artist, been a lot of different things. I was in broadcast journalism for over 10 years. And then I was in corporate America, meaning a corporate executive for over a decade building business. And so I've been in the working world as an employee working for somebody else for 25 years before I transitioned into becoming a business owner. And so in many ways, my skill set far supersedes most business owners. And that's because you learn so much about business by working inside a business if you're curious enough. So curiosity really is the key. If you're curious enough and then you take initiative inside a business, you can really set yourself up for a lot of success, massive success, whether that's at the next company that you go to or jump ship to, or at the company that you're inside right now. So today, we are going to talk about the importance of roadmaps, and it's going to be applicable to your life, like I said, and especially applicable to business. I want you to think for a moment right now about being aimless. if you could imagine that as a high performer. Although I will say this about high performers, high achievers, oftentimes we don't place the right tools in front of us. A roadmap is one of them. And so even though you are in this mode of achievement and you've achieved a lot, you can achieve so much more with this simple concept of the roadmap. So imagine kind of being aimless, even if you are a high achiever. You're achieving, but with no direction and no focus. Where would your life end up? What would your life be like if you were just aimless? No plan, just carpe diem, seize the day, every day with no thought to the future? YOLO. A lot of people live their lives like that, but a lot of entrepreneurs operate in that way as well because they're very reactive. They're not proactive. Having a roadmap is all about being proactive, having a plan, and relentlessly focusing on what you want. It always comes down to what you want. Now, think of a time in your life when you were aimless. Think of a time in your life when you were aimless, because we've all been there. For me, it was during my teenage years. I really felt lost. And certainly in my early 20s, y'all, nothing about me is picture perfect. I may be married to the former NFL guy now, but certainly the football player did not want to date me in high school. I was bullied in high school. I was very lost during my teenage years, and especially in my early 20s. Here's what happens when you don't think about your future. When the plans for your future are a bit fuzzy, here's what happens. You end up in an emotionally and physically abusive relationship with a dude who was in and out of prison. That was my life, my friends, in my early 20s. Looking at me today, listening to me today, that would never happen to the Nineveh today. That's not even the same Nineveh. But there was a time in my life that I was rather aimless. And so what was happening was I had no direction. So I was at the mercy of someone else's direction, of someone else's life. And let me tell you, that plan was not very good. Ended up with handcuffs behind my back, which actually did happen to me once, by the way. Didn't go to jail, but I was in my early 20s. I was going to community college. I was in and out of this toxic relationship. I've talked about this in the past. I don't talk about it often, but I do mention it when it's applicable to the episodes, and I feel like sharing it. And the one good thing that I had going for me at the time is that I had decided to leave my career as an esthetician and makeup artist eventually and to do something different. I wanted to go in a different direction. I knew that. So I went back to college while I was still working. I was writing for the local student paper at the time, and that's something that I had wanted to do in high school, but I didn't have the courage to step out and do that. I went to 3 different high schools, so, I was just surviving the new round of bullying at each school. I was writing for the local student paper in community college. I was enjoying it. But, honestly, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I actually had to take one of those, I think it was the Briggs-Meyer test, something like that. I may be misquoting it, but I had to take a test for myself. A personality test of sorts, to help me identify what path in life I should take. I didn't have a roadmap is my point. So what happened? I followed someone else's roadmap, and his roadmap led me to be handcuffed. It led me into all sorts of terrible direction. Think about all the people that you hang out with right now. Think about your mentors. Think about your friends. Like, are you following their roadmap? Or are you following their roadmap? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to life, because this guy was caught up in some pretty bad stuff, and I was guilty by association. So when the cops came looking for some bad stuff in our hotel room, they put me in handcuffs to scare me. And boy, did it scare me. I remember the officer yelling in my face, "You have a choice to continue being with this loser or turn your life around." And I didn't realize it back then, but that was a God moment right there. That was a God moment. God talking to me, a message, and that was a turning point for me. No more following other people's roadmaps. I need my own roadmap, and so do you. Not just for life, but for your business. Now, I can't tell you how many business owners I meet who are, number one, following someone else's roadmap. This means that you're getting your ideas from some competitor off Instagram. You're way too focused on what other people are doing and trying to copycat what they're doing. And what happens in turn is that you're following their roadmap. How do you know that is the correct roadmap for your business? You don't. So you lose focus. Number 2, you're flying by the seat of your pants. You're building it as you go. And that's okay at first, because that's what I really love about entrepreneurs. The spirit of the entrepreneur is they have so much belief in themselves that they step out in so much faith, and they just take that massive action, and they get people to buy into their vision, and they just build as they go, and they just never stop. So look at the chaos that's been left behind them a little bit, And here's the point that I'm trying to make, though. It's okay to operate that way when you first start, maybe the first year, maybe you're entering year 2, but you cannot continue to be aimless in your business. When I personally decided to become a broadcaster, I caught a vision, right? Just like when you decide to go for something, you catch the vision, right? But vision alone is not enough. Vision alone is not enough to keep you going necessarily, because then it's just a vision and an idea stuck in your head. The vision, I think, helps you get started. I think the vision gets you excited. I think the vision continues to invigorate you. But that vision needs a plan. Where are we going? And this is especially crucial if you're an entrepreneur with a team. Wait a minute. What are we doing here? An employee wants to know, what is your vision? How do I, as an employee, fit into your vision? How do I win within your vision? Tell me that. Show me how I'm going to grow within your vision, because that's what they care about. Let me tell you, that's what they care about. And as soon as you realize that, you begin to take the focus off yourself, and you begin to think about, how can I help them win more? How can I help them win more? At first, it's about survival. Some of it's about survival. Like, look, I've got this vision. I've got this business idea. I don't want to be chained to a corporation. Entrepreneurs start businesses for all different types of reasons. And then, you gotta collect, you gotta make a living, right? And so you're running into the survival mode, but eventually you have to switch from survival to thrival. Thrival's not a word, but I wanted to make it rhyme. So survive to thrive. That's what you want to switch into. So your employees, your team, your staff, they want you to show them how they're going to be part of something really special. The team doesn't just care about what they're doing. They also want to know how. They want to know how it's possible. They want to know what's possible. And the way that you do that is with a roadmap. You visualize for them what that looks like. And now all of a sudden they can put a picture to the words that you're telling them. So maybe you're meeting with your team every week and you're like, this is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to go. And if you do that week after week without a roadmap, you're going to sound very grandiose. There's a lot of grandiosity to that. Okay, I want you to understand, you maybe think you're building culture, and you are, but if you repeat that over time, you never actually show people. If you don't visualize your roadmap, people are like, well, this is what they're saying. I see that we're growing, but I don't really understand where I fit into this. I'm not really following what you're putting down with just your words. And so the roadmap helps to visualize for them what that looks like. And now all of a sudden they can put a picture to your words, and that picture becomes real to them. And from that picture, a plan is actually born, a plan the team can contribute to. This, my friends, is how you achieve your goals. This is how you grow your organization. According to airfocus.com, roadmaps act as a single reference point to ensure everyone on a team shares the same understanding of the goals, driving, and initiative. Couldn't agree more. They put it perfectly. So let me break down for you the following. Number one, what is a roadmap? I read you a definition, but what is a roadmap? Number one. Number two, how do I put one together? That's a great question. So let's go over that. And I'm going to get really official here. A business roadmap is a strategic document that outlines the steps and milestones necessary to achieve the company's goals and objectives. I personally like to put together my high-level company roadmaps on a Google Slide document. That's typically what I use when presenting the strategic vision to my team. So you've got several different types of roadmaps, and I'm not going to dive into all of them right now. I just want you to understand the importance of roadmaps and what they are and how to put a basic one together. And by the way, if you're an executive, I'm sure that you're probably responsible for roadmaps, especially if you're in a larger organization and you're overseeing a larger team like I was. In my corporate executive role, I had to put together annual roadmaps, and then I had to break down those roadmaps into quarterly roadmaps, and then I had to go into planning with the team and break down the quarterly roadmaps into objectives and then key results, something called OKRs, which we can do an entire show on, by the way. And that's how we were able to measure and achieve the goals that we put ahead of ourselves, right? We've all got to be on the same page, and that's what roadmaps help you do. They help you get focused. They focus the entire organization in the same direction, and it's not enough to tell people. I'm telling you. You think you're telling them, but you've got to repeat this vision, and you've got to repeat the goals and the objectives of your company repeatedly to your organization, repeatedly to your team, over and over again. There must be constant and consistent reinforcement, and the roadmap helps you to do that. So these roadmaps that I put together as a corporate executive were both for the leadership team, because I had to get the roadmaps approved by the leadership team. Am I on the same page as all the other departments? Do our objectives align with the CEO's strategic vision? That was very important. So the roadmap is crucial in achieving your vision as a CEO, as an entrepreneur. And here are the 7 key elements that are typically included in a business roadmap. So let's run through them right now. Number 1, a vision and a mission statement. This is a clear articulation of the company's long-term vision. So what's the long-term vision? Where do you see yourself 3 to 5, 10 years from now? You want to really paint a picture for your organization. And then right underneath that, what is your mission? The vision is a little bit different. It's really high level. It's like that audacious goal. Like you had the audacity to have a goal and a vision like that. People follow visionaries, okay? Because a lot of people lack vision. They don't know how to have vision, but they want to be part of a vision. So paint a really big vision, which is actually going to stretch you as well as an individual and as an entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning into my show. I'm the founder of Scale Ventures and want to invite you to learn more about how we help high-achieving men and women just like you. As a shareholder and owner of multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses, my company can help bring order to the chaos in your business. Find out if you qualify and get on my wait list at scaleventures.com. That's spelled SKAYLE ventures.com. And then you need a mission statement. You need a mission that everybody can connect to. At the core of business is you're serving people. That's what business is. I mean, we talk about business in mainstream media like, businesses are out just to make money. Business of course a business needs to profit. It needs to make money. And by the laws of nature, businesses profit because they're servicing people. They are serving people in some sort of capacity, whatever that may be, whatever the niche may be. But at the core of the mission statement is something that people need to be able to connect to, something that aligns with their own value system. And the mission statement actually helps you attract like-minded people. So I think it's really important for a business owner, an entrepreneur, to get very clear on their vision and to sit down and think about it and to get really precise on your mission. What is your mission? What is something that people can connect to. And usually mission comes down to what is the impact that we want to have in the marketplace, and who do we want to have that impact on? Are we impacting women? And if we're impacting women, what type of product or service do we have that's going to provide the XYZ impact on them? So that's more of a mission. A vision would be something like, very grand and grandiose, but you gotta, and it's okay to be audacious in that way. You want to have audacity when it comes to your vision. So that was number one, your vision and mission statement, which can go on the same slide. Number two, and if you haven't thought of your vision, that's okay. At least come up with your mission statement. All right. Vision is something that you can sit and ponder on if you'd like to, because I think vision beyond the mission is it really stretches your mind. I'll just put it that way. Number two is your goals and objectives. Goals and objectives, specific and measurable goals that align with the company's vision and mission statement. So here you've put together this mission and this vision together, and people are probably thinking like, okay, how are we going to do that? So a great mission statement would be something like a goal connected to a number. Although it doesn't always have to be, that could be the objective. So you have your vision, your mission statement, and then your objective, like your overarching strategic objective for the company, needs to be a type of goal with a measurable, a number attached to it. For example, we aim to service 100 customers by EOY, end of the year. So put a number to it, because now it makes it measurable, right? So your second slide, which is your goals and objectives, it showcases the how, which is like your strategies. If we're saying that our overall objective for the company is to reach 100 customers by the end of the year, we want to service 100 customers doing XYZ in the marketplace, whatever your product or service is. They're like, that sounds amazing. That sounds cool. Right now, and then say, right now we're at 50. Now, if you're only at like 5 customers and you're saying 100, that's quite the quantum leap. So you better have some serious marketing and sales strategy machine behind a goal like that. So I'm not saying that you have to make it super realistic. I'm saying that you should make it a stretch goal. When you're saying, I want to service X amount of customers by the end of the year, you want to put growth into that. You want the growth to stretch you as an organization, stretch you as a CEO, but you don't want it to be so ridiculous that it's not achievable. And by the end of the year, just kind of, I don't know, it just, we all look silly, right? It's like, okay, does this CEO understand what it takes? So I'm not saying to make it realistic, stretch yourself, but don't be so grandiose about the strategic objective that your organization at the current state doesn't believe what you're saying. You get where I'm going with that, right? So the second slide of your goals and objectives showcases the how. Your strategies. These strategies are going to fit within a few buckets here. For example, if we're aiming for 100 customers by the end of the year, and I'll just stick with that example in terms of our overarching strategic objective, then an example of a strategic goal would be generate X leads, which would be a marketing objective or a marketing initiative. Or if you're saying you're going to reach 100 customers, what sales initiatives are going to be taking place to actually make that happen, right? If one of your objectives is, for example, to reduce churn, which means to reduce the number of customers that you're losing, well, how do you plan on improving your client experience, right? If you plan to scale, if that's one of your objectives, we say an objective is to streamline our operations this year by doing ABC. So your goals and objectives need to be higher arching, but then you also need number 3, your milestones, which is your key checkpoints or milestones that must be reached in order to achieve the company goals. So it's not enough to say, we're going to streamline operations this year. Cool, like break that down in ABC, because streamlining operations could mean a bunch of things. We're going to streamline operations by A, improving the client experience, by B, specifically doing these 3 things. And that's basically what you're identifying. Let's jump to number 4, which is your initiatives and strategies. So the specific initiatives and strategies that the company is going to undertake to achieve its goals and reach each milestone is really more per department. So it's all a breakdown. You go high level and you keep chunking down into the lower levels. So your vision and mission statement, your goals and objectives, your milestones, then your initiatives and strategies, which are very specific. So the specific example that I gave you was overarching objective, streamline operations. How do I plan to improve your operations is your initiatives. That's where your initiatives go. Now, timeline is number 5. Timeline is a timeline or schedule that outlines when each initiative or strategy is going to be implemented and when each milestone is expected to be achieved. So it's very important that you've got a timeline on your goals. Otherwise, the team doesn't understand what the deadlines are. And everything takes twice as long as you think it's going to take. But what the deadline or what the timeline or what the milestone does, the timestamp, is it helps people wrap their heads around how much time they have to achieve, and then it's going to also help you measure how productive your team actually is. And the next 2 things that are really important, number 6, resource allocation. So the resources, both financial and personal, that is going to be personal, meaning personnel, that is going to be required to execute the roadmap and achieve the goals and milestones. So here you've got all these grand plans, and it's like, cool, do we actually have the resources? Do we actually have the team members to help us execute on this vision? Are we going to be able to achieve these objectives and initiatives within the timeline and the milestones that have been set forth in front of us? Do we have the resources for that? And if we don't have the resources for that, can we allocate the resources for that? And what you'll discover in that process is that you can't do everything at once, and maybe your profit margins aren't high enough to be investing in all the different areas that you want to. So you're going to need to decide what to prioritize, because a lot of business owners want to do 10 different things. And when they go through this process, what they realize is that right now, in this current state of my organization, I can achieve ABC, but I can't achieve past the letter D. Or maybe I can only achieve A and B, but C and D need to wait until next year or Q4 or whatever it may be. The last thing that you need when it comes to the roadmap are your metrics. Your metrics, the specific metrics that are going to be used to track your progress and evaluate success. And when it comes to metrics, we're not just talking about business KPIs, which are very important, but what are the team KPIs? How are you measuring their productivity? So every single department within your organization needs KPIs. The metrics are very important. It's not enough to say 100 customers, $1 million in revenue, or whatever it is that you want to achieve. Then you've got to break down what each department is responsible for. What metrics are they going to be responsible for? And that becomes their North Star. And the numbers always tell you the story of your business. So, 7 key elements. Real fast: vision and mission statement, goals and objectives, milestones, initiatives and strategies, timeline, resource allocation, metrics. Boom, boom, boom. Done. What I want you to think about, though, first is focusing on that high-level roadmap as a CEO or as an executive. How to get your teams to put together the plans is an entirely different episode, honestly. We went a little bit deep today. I can't tell you how many times I've run into business owners who blame their teams. My team isn't doing ABC. Well, do you even know what to do? Probably not if you don't have a roadmap, honestly. Probably not if you haven't sat down to do quarterly planning with them, annual planning with them. You want to scale your business, you need a roadmap. You want freedom, roadmap. As always, because we are way past our time, I like to take about 20 to 30 minutes. I want to be mindful of your time. As always, I hope that you derive some kind of value out of today's episode. Let me say this. You cannot scale without a roadmap. It is math mathematically impossible to scale without a roadmap. I know this because I formulated a unique IP to scaling a business, and it's a methodology I've applied to several businesses, and they all produce the same results, which is what? Revenue expansion. Revenue expansion is scale. When we talk about scale, we're talking about expanding our revenue and profit margins. So how do you expect to drive results without a roadmap? You can't, because you don't even know what you want. How do you expect your team to know what you want and what they need to do? They need direction, and the roadmap is going to give them some direction. I encourage you to start your roadmap today. Start getting clear on what your initiatives are, what you need to focus on, and get everyone in your organization on the same page.